Hello, 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 everybody. It's another day, another dollar, another vibe, another episode. Here on Fourth and Fantasy, I am Honcho, and this is my right hand man.
Rocco from
You
New
know,
Orleans.
how y'all feeling? How you feeling, Rocco?
Man, we kind of didn't talk about this on the last podcast, but it's been weighing heavily on me, so I just kind of wanted to say, a little something about um, the New Orleans terrorist attack. Um, I'm, born and raised, and it really hurt. Um, that this happened in my city. um, we woke up on New Year's Day to this news, New Year's morning to this news, and um, I just been kind of stuck, just thinking about it on my mind a lot because, that could have been me, that could have been my family, that could have been my kids, that could have been, countless people I know that have been, in that spot, at that time of night, you know, hundreds, thousands of times. So a couple days ago, me and my wife, we went down to the memorial, and it just kind of, all the emotions just kind of hit me at once. Um, just seeing the memorials for the people that died. Um, you know, uh, Tiger Besh, he was a football player, and he died right there on the street. Um,
Mm-hmm.
his brother actually went to LSU for a little while, and I actually saw people, I actually saw people on social kind of talking about Jack Best as a prospect in this draft, and kind of skimming over the fact that that man's brother just died right here on the streets of New Orleans. Um,
Mm-hmm.
another young girl, not much older than my daughters, um, she also died in the streets. I'm looking at her name. I want to
It
make
was a,
sure I
it
say
was
her
a,
name right.
it was
Nakira Dedo.
a lot of
Her
sad,
mama
man.
didn't even know that she was out there. 18 years old. Mama didn't even know she was out there. Pleaded with her not to go out there. Not because of this, because, random violence could happen to you at that time of night. But, um, you know, it really hit home because that could be, my girls out there.
Yeah,
So,
it was sad, man. When I
um,
when I saw the news on Twitter and just looking at all the raw footage, I mean, like bodies in the street, them. It was graphic. It was sad. It reminds you how dark the world can be, how evil is amongst us at all times, and it kind of just reminds you that time is precious. Every day is not guaranteed to you,
mhm.
and to make the most of it. Whatever it
Yeah,
is, whatever passion that you have, whatever endeavor that you want to, start, whatever that project is, wherever that new course that you want to take, do it now. Because you always say, I have tomorrow, but that time can be taken away from you, man. So
and the
it's
person
very
that
sad.
wanted this wanted, wants more hate to be seeped out in the world. And all I can say is just love your neighbor, love your family, love your kids, love one another because that's what gotta win at the end of the day. We can't let this, you know, bring out the worst in us. All we could do is, pick up the pieces from here and you know, and love one another even more. So, um, yeah, it's been kind of heavy on my heart, but um, I'm attempting to move on from it. It'll always be there. Um, but you know, yeah,
Yeah. Rest in peace to the victims of that night. Rest in paradise, man. Like I said, I'm glad, you know, that motherfucker got gunned down. So he got what he deserved at the end of the day.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm. But we gonna turn, the heavy hearts into some uplifting fantasy football. We got our first topic of the day of the night. Actually,
Our
we
Debbie
didn't
Player of
get
the
to
Week.
Sunday. Debbie Player of the Week, but he's a bad mamma jamma. I say he might be the coldest white boy on her shoe in the Midwest if you really want to think about it. Or is Minnesota considered the Midwest? I don't think so. Is Minnesota considered the
Yeah,
Midwest?
yeah,
Is
I
it?
would say so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. He's the baddest mamma jamma on the Midwest. Mr. Cam Mother effing Scatterboo. And let me tell you about this guy. He's from Arizona State. He is the running back, and I did not know much about this guy coming into the season. Now, I knew a little bit about him. He kind of have a little bit of uh, injuries throughout his college career, but the more I got to look at the highlights and just the overall film of Cam Skattebo or Bo Skattebo. There we go. Cam
My
Skattebo.
Scattaboo.
Scatterboo, Scatterboo. If like the more I started looking at him, I was like, yo, this dude can run. Like he's Mr. Contact Balance. I know we always talk about contact balance. He is Mr. Contact Balance,
Oh
King
man,
Contact Balance,
some
if
of the
you will.
stuff I seen him using his arm, you like he's falling on the ground backwards and just uses his arm on the ground to kind of keep
I'm
himself
saying.
up and keep going. Like you don't see a lot of guys just use their arm to keep themselves afloat. Man, he's a fun
eh,
player. I tell you, he has some of
he's fun.
the funnest tape I've
He's
seen.
Oh yeah, I think when it comes to usage and how important a player is to an overall essence of a offense, you can't look further than Cam, right? If you look at the bowl game that they just played, that man had a passing touchdown. He had like almost 100 receiving yards. He had over 150 rushing yards. Like this man was a baller. Let me hold on. Let me just stop. Let me just put him on the screen for y'all real quick because I need y'all to understand how much of a dog this man is. We just put up a short yesterday of who he reminded me of from a movie called The Longest Yard. If you've seen it, I know you've seen it. If you're a football advocate like us, we know you've seen it. And you can't tell me that's how a white man runs a football. Camp Scatterboo
Stone
don't
Cold
remind you of
Steve
that.
Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, man. Let me show you this guy, man. Look at number 4. That is my G, my guy. Let me get this out my face real quick. Look at him rumble, stumble, bumble. And what I like about this man is he's 5'10", 225 pounds. Yes, he is not the fastest.
Attitude.
I'm gonna tell you that now. He's not the fastest, he's not the quickest. But damn it, he has an attitude when he runs, man. Like he reminds me of Marshawn Lynch, the way he just doesn't like to go down on the first hit. He like
I like that.
What did Marshawn say? He said, "Run through a motherfucker face." That's how Cam plays. He just likes to run through a motherfucker's face over and over and over and over and over and over. What did Marshawn Lynch kept saying? Like his run power is one of the best in this class, and when he's running in between the tackles, now and he even has enough speed to get around on the corner. Now in the NFL, he might have a little issues getting to the outside, but in between the tackles, I really do love him in there. He's a really downhill guy, punishing runner, loves physicality. You know, his vision is really nice. His lateral agility for a big guy is pretty good too, which I really like. And like I said, one of his weaknesses, if you want to even call it a weakness, top end speed. He's not a burner. He does sometimes get caught. I want to say sometimes. There's you see in the film of him getting caught by faster guys. Um, and then if you could guess to say his elusiveness where he brings the power, he isn't the best at making. I would say like I guess it's not really his play style either. So I don't really expect it for him to play like that. I don't expect him to move around, let's say, like a Bucky Irving. You know what? What I mean? He's 5'10", like I said, 5'10", 225 pounds. If you look at some other guys around his size, like Amarion Hampton, he's 6 foot, 220 pounds. You got Damian Martinez, who's like 6 foot, 218 pounds, right? Starker Bill. Some people say he reminds them of Kyle Juszczyk. Kyle Juszczyk. I feel like I'm saying that man's last name wrong, but if I am, I apologize, my G. But from the 49ers.
Hmm.
And I guess I could see that. I could see him replacing Kyle in San Francisco because I believe he actually is in the last year of his contract.
I
But
hope not.
how do you feel about Cam?
I hope he's not Kyle Juszczyk because then he's nothing as a fantasy or dynasty asset. I thought he kind of reminded me of an old time Buccaneer, Mike Allstott, a little bit.
I
But I
can
like
I
your
can
I
deal with
like
that.
your Marshawn Lynch. That's not a that's a good one. I haven't seen that one yet, but um, some of the things I liked, he was just a fun watch. I watched a 10-minute highlight video where his actually, I don't know if you've seen this one. I gotta find the clip and I'll send it to you. Um, his offensive lineman actually suplexed him into the end zone. Yeah, yeah. I don't know how he got turned around, but dude, like, just basically picked him up and threw him over the top of the line.
Mhm.
But yeah, he. What I noticed a lot is he drops his head a lot, so I hope that doesn't get him hurt. In the pros, he's got a drop and he drops his head and he spins. That looks like that's one of his go-to moves.
Mhm.
But just power, like nobody's taking him down with those lame ass tackles. He's
Like
got a
shorter
good.
tackles, arm tackles. Yeah, they don't.
Oh yeah,
They don't. Those don't work on him.
he's got a good stiff arm. You see him, you know, knock sideways, and he puts his hand in the ground and somehow keeps his balance and keeps moving forward. I think,
Like, look at him.
probably the most underrated quality about him is his pass catching ability. You don't see guys of this archetype,
Hmm.
you know, have such fluidity as pass catchers. I've seen him, catch passes downfield. On the season, he had over 600 uh, receiving yards.
Hmm.
So he's definitely, the whole offense for Arizona State. He's very versatile. Like you
Yeah.
said, he threw a pass. I like him. I like him as the Thunder in a 1B, or 1B or 1A part of a committee.
Like a
He,
David Montgomery.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He could definitely
Mm.
be like maybe even like maybe even a little bit more
Najee.
bruising than David Montgomery. Najee looks
Mm.
the part, but he's kind
Okay, I
of
can't say it.
he's
I mean,
kind of
not maybe
he's
not
kind of lame.
Najee,
He
but
dances too much. Um, I thought Najee turned the corner last year because he started using his size, but I don't know if it's Arthur Smith, but he's back
it's
to
hard. You
that
know.
dancing that he does.
Mm.
I also like some of his movements behind the line. Like you can see like some agility and kind of looking for the hole behind the line. Like he's not just statuesque back there, just waiting to be hit. He's got a little fluidity, fluidity
Fluidity.
behind the,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that word. Little
He's an
fluidity
English.
behind the line, that can kind of throw, rushers off that, so he's a little bit harder to tackle in the backfield. So I think he definitely could be an impact player at the next level. I don't think he's just a flash in the pan. I think he actually has, real life translatable NFL skill sets to be
Same.
maybe even the 1A in a committee, because I mean he
I
can
mean,
basically do it all. So he could even find himself in a workhorse role. Um,
I will say
but
though,
yeah,
I
I
will
do like
say
him. A lot of it depends on landing spot to me.
he could. I could definitely see him. But when you kind of say certain things that get me worried about Cam, as much as I love his running style, like just running through somebody, right? How long when we talk about running back, the position's already, short lived as it is, right? And if we look back at his workload over the last two seasons, 521 carries.
Hmm.
That raises to me a little bit, that's a lot of tread on the tire, Rocco. That's and can he sustain that over a whole 18 game season? No, he's not going to be asked to carry that many times, right, for an NFL team. Now, in this modern days, we see a lot of more running back by committees, them
Hmm.
having two guys to carry the load instead of one. So I guess you can say if he goes to a team that already has a guy and you pair him, then that will keep his shelf life to maximize it as much as possible.
Hmm.
And then what we have to look at is he has ball security issues. He's had 10 fumbles over the last 3 seasons.
That gets you off
All
the
this,
field faster than anything.
ask our boy Ram, ask our boy Ramondre Stevenson how quick those fumbles can get you out of that starting gate fairly quickly. Mind you, his head coach just got fucking fired. So let's take that with a grain of salt. I'm just saying. But Ramondre was fumbling, they removed his ass. But they in NFL stands for not for long. All right. You can't carry that ball. You can't keep that rock and hold on to it. They're gonna find somebody else that will. So, Cam, please hold on to the ball because I would love to see you have some value. And you're actually one of those guys that I'm going to be targeting in this 2025 RB class. And I'm looking at it. The guys that they have in front of him, I'll list them off to you, Rocco. Obviously, Genty. I feel like that's a given.
Hmm.
Omarion Hampton, Caleb Johnson, Judkins, Nicholas Singleton, Jordan James, Travion Henderson, Trevor Etienne, and that is it. They have Cam as the number 9 running back currently right now in this class.
Probably take him
Eh,
over a couple of those guys.
Oh, really? They have him
Yeah,
ahead of Ollie Gordon, RJ Harvey, Damian Martinez.
I'm intrigued with Gordon. He was good. He was good. Last year. So I'm intrigued with him. I think he's a sleeper to me. Um,
Okay, how about
but
this?
I probably
Because
take
we
him
have, we have
over.
it.
I probably take him over Etienne. Honestly, I like
I
his
was about to say, before we
his
go,
body
let's
type a
do a
little
little
bit
bit of
better.
this and that.
All
Let's
right,
do a little bit of
let's
this or
go.
that. You know what I'm saying?
Let's
So
go.
Cam or Trevor?
Scatterbo. Easy.
Cam Travion,
I
the
probably
other
go
Ohio
Travia.
State.
I go Travia. I mean, I like his speed and his pedigree. And I think he'll get drafted higher.
Cam or Jordan James?
I like Jordan James.
I'm gonna go Cam.
It's
I feel like I remember us doing a
Cor-
breakdown on him, and I just felt like Jordan James. He's cool, but goddamn, he ain't no Cam though. There's nothing special about Jordan that gets me going. There's something special about Cam that makes me want to watch him play.
yeah, I probably have to go Cam just because the way he carried the offense this year.
Cam Nicholas Singleton. Some people, it depends on who you speak to about this guy, right? He's an athletic freak, but hasn't produced that greatly for Penn State. He's very off and on. So, would you take Cam or Singleton?
Penn State, either you Saquon Barkley or Miles Sanders. Huh? The way his career is going, he looks like he's more in the Miles Sanders, but great athlete. So um, it's a coin flip. I'll probably take Singleton just because I think he'll have more trade cachet before he even plays.
I will say what I appreciate about guys like Cam is that they don't rely on their physical gifts, right? There's nothing that makes physically, right? We're talking about athletically that makes Cam special or elite, right? He's very average in that realm of things. What makes Cam who he is his competitiveness, his that dog in him. You know what I'm saying? Not wanting to go in. That can transcend to me can transcend players up my list of how like he's a football player, and I'll take a football player every single time. Eh, Cam has a role in the NFL immediately as a short yardage back,
Mm-hmm.
and he could be that gadget guy. Let's imagine a Taysom Hill, if you will, but way smaller, obviously. Not the tight end position, but how they use Taysom Hill as a runner, how they use him as a passer, how you know they use him in various ways to catch the ball out of the field, in line, in the slot, various ways. You can use Cam in the same way. I feel he's just a play. He's one of those physical playmakers. Some guys are athletic playmakers. Cam is a physical playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Alstott, like you brought up in the beginning of the breakdown, Mike Alstott was nothing that was going to blow by you, but when he dropped that shoulder, you was definitely going to feel him. You knew who he was. I love me a guy like this. So
Yeah,
if
I don't know about
I'm,
Taysom Hill. I take a little. Taysom Hill's a much better athlete, but I get the versatility that you're speaking on. But Taysom Hill is
I guess
a one
physicalness
of
is it?
he's like a one
It's
of
more of his
one of
physicalness.
athletes.
Yeah, I think his not more of the athlete of Taysom, but like the physicalness. Like, he'll he'll like Taysom. He'll go around you. He can go around you. It's crazy that he's 34 and still fast as shit. And
Yeah, that dickhead will run himself into an injury.
so I like me some Cam. Where do you think that you would have to select Cam? I think he might be a late second, early third guy. So, but what do you think?
I
If
think
they have Jordan James, I seen Jordan James go in the mock drafts. I seen Jordan James is like going in the mid second, ish.
I
So if
I think it really depends on draft. I think they I think the way he plays and to be honest, the color of his skin, he's gonna have like people going crazy for him. Probably earlier than you would think he would go, just because
mm,
and the way he plays too, gets people excited. I think he could actually, you know, he could probably sneak into the early second or in that
mhm,
range, just depending on the draft. Honestly, I think you're gonna see
his
wild
draft process,
variations
correct?
from where he goes, because I think there is gonna be like a Scatterbo hive out there.
Do you think it all determines how he tests in the off season throughout this draft process, like the
I don't
combine, his pro day?
I don't think it should, honestly, because we could watch the game and know he's not fast. So I mean, like, if you did, you'd be counting it twice, because I mean, I'm watching him right now. He's not fast.
No, he's
He's not
not.
burning any kind of rubber. He's kind of moving in mud.
Yeah.
His talents is what happens at the line. His I think he'll test well in some of the agility drills, especially for his
Mm.
size. But the 40, he's probably gonna be like a 4.6, maybe even a 4.7 type of guy.
Damn, you kind of hit it right on his head. Hit it. You hit that right on the head for his reported time. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, it
he
just looks like he's not close to a 4.4. He's not even a 4.5 guy.
he's reported to run a 4.62.
It sounds about right, but David Montgomery runs a 4.6, so it's not the be all end all. We just probably won't see that many breakaway runs from him. He'll probably
You
live in
know,
that 4 to 6 to 7 yard range. with a big play, if he runs and nobody's around.
I think where his draft capital will determine where he is picked up in rookie drafts, right? If we see Cam go in the fourth round, right? I think
Hmm.
he can be anywhere of a late, mid to late second, easily, right? If I see a team go get Cam, like fall in love with Cam, either go pick him up in the second or third, Cam might be to that early to mid section. You know what I mean? Depending on where he goes. If the Dallas Cowboys select Cam, I'm 100% selecting Cam. Now, would that be it kind of be redundant with what they have with Rico? Rico isn't a speedster either, and he also brings power as well. He's about 215 ish. So Cam has them up by like 10 points. But I don't know. I would love to see Cam in a offense that lets him go north and south, you know, I formation. They let him just be smash mouth, and he's even serviceable enough to run out of a shotgun.
Hmm.
I think he still has enough burst to run out of shotgun, and where he's going to be see a lot of value, I think, is in PPR formats. He's going to be able to catch the ball. He's going to be able to run it. He's going to be that type of playmaker for you. And it's not if he sees the field for me, it's when he gets his opportunity. With we saw it last year with the guys started to drop like fives. You get your opportunity comes fairly quickly in the NFL, and I think once he gets his chance to show that he can do what he can do, you know, it's a wrap after that. So Cam will be one of those guys I will be targeting quite well. Depends
Yeah.
on obviously how the rest of the draft goes. Am I
Hmm.
able to get a running back in the first round? This is a really RB heavy draft. So if I miss out in the first round on the RB and I am looking for something to fill my roster and feel good about short in the short term and the long term, I like Cam.
Yeah. I'll be honest. The more I think about it, I probably I probably won't end up with a lot of Scatterbo just because I think he's gonna go higher than I want to take him, and I'm a bit of an athleticism whore when it comes to running backs, whether that's right or wrong. That's probably how I'll fall out. And there's just so many good running backs in this draft. Um,
Hmm.
I just don't know. If he goes ahead of certain people, that I like, then I'll just have to eat it and not get as much Scatterbo, especially with the season he's had. I just think he's gonna go probably a little bit higher than I want to take him.
I will say
Would you
I'm
take
not
him or Devin Neal?
overdrafting
Let's say this.
Devin Neal. You don't even have
That
to. You don't even have to ask me.
that's
Like,
what I'm
like
saying. Devin Neal's looks like a
it's
third round pick right now.
like Devin Neal. It's he's faster. I think he has better vision than Cam. He is a lot more durable than Cam. Yeah, I think like you said, I'm not going to be overdrafting. I'm not. Well, if he's
That's what I'm
there and I
saying.
miss out on guys,
I
uh,
think the Dynasty's community is gonna settle in with Scatterbo above Devin Neal. I think that's how it's gonna shake out once you start seeing rookie drafts. And I just
mhm.
can't do it. I just can't do it.
I think we personally love guys. There's other guys that we love just as much as Skattebo, that like we love our Kyle Manon guy. Like we love, and those are guys going to be around in the same range. Devin Neal, those guys are going to be in the same range as where you could select a Cam. right? So if Cam is gone, I'm not panicking. I'm not worried. I'm not even in my feelings because there's a lot more guys that I like.
I'm getting whoever falls to me because somebody I like
Literally,
will fall to me.
it's just a matter of who, and I'm going to be happy either way. You know what I mean? I think we're going to have so many pet cats at this running back position that we all going to end up liking. Like there's
Yeah,
several guys of my guys that I have.
yeah. I mean, we've talked about a lot of them. So yeah, I mean, I guess the strategy. If we're talking about dynasty strategy as far as this upcoming draft is, um, every trade you make, try to get one of those 25 thirds thrown in there. You know, People
Hmm.
might be stingy on their first and seconds at this time of year. I mean,
But no one
still
gives a
get
fuck
them where
about a
you can.
third.
Nobody cares about thirds, and thirds are where you eat. That thirds are where you find true difference makers. Thirds are where people were finding um, Tyrone
The
Tracy
Jalen,
and
you trying those
Bucky Irving last year.
Berkey Irving, those Tracy's. You got
Yeah,
Jalen Coker wasn't even getting picked, so I can't even
no,
say Jalen
yeah, he's
Coker.
undrafted.
You know what I
Jalen
mean?
McMillan,
So,
who helped people win money down the stretch.
hmm
People just don't give a shit about thirds, and thirds. I think thirds a lot of time make the difference between a good team and a great team and possibly a championship team.
shoot, we could
Because
even
it's that
say
quality depth that you need to rely on late in the year.
I won't disrespect this guy either. He came in and showed a little spunk. You could also got Spencer Rattler in that third and fourth as a very low key QB starter. Sometimes he's I had him in quite a few shares of Spencer Rattler, and where I needed a spot QB, he came in and did what I needed to do. No, I still think he has room to go, but I think he shows signs of good spark. So that's why I'm talking about those third and fourths. You're not looking for something immediate, right? Like the Isaac Garindos went in the third and fourth, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
he ended up taking over for CMC. Those are the opportunities that we're talking about with Cam. Those opportunities do come, it happens all the time at that running back position.
Yeah, I would just try to get your just
As
hammer
many.
third round
And
running
Hamber
backs
Arby.
because you just draw all those guys in your taxi, and when they get a shot, see what they do because these guys could easily take over backfield at some point. Because I mean, this draft is shit loaded with size, speed, specimens. That also have production. So um, this running back class is going to completely rebuild the running back landscape in the entire NFL. You're going to see a lot of people,
Mm.
a lot of established names, you know, get 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 cucked by this new incoming class of running backs.
You know who I would like to see Cam on? Who I could see who who's starting running back when he came back led had he was in the bottom three all running backs who had 75 carries of making somebody miss. And that would be I would love to see Cam go to the Kansas City Chiefs and be their new Pacheco.
Could be,
I
could be.
I would love that. But that is our
He's definitely
Devi
a
of
weapon.
the week. Cam Skattebo. I'm gonna say Skattebo, Skattebo, whatever your damn name is, my G. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna get. I feel like I say it right one day and I'm wrong another, but I'm gonna get it down. And once I do, I got you.
He's gonna be a Scatterboo for a lot of drafters this
You
upcoming rookie
remember
season.
when running backs used to be called scatbacks?
Yeah,
Haven't heard that term in forever. Oh, that's a scatback. If you for you youngsters, a scat bat was more of those smaller guys, those elusive guys back in the
like a
day.
satellite back.
Yeah, man, I haven't heard this. Man, the Deuce Vaughn, that would be like a scat back if you know who Deuce Vaughn is, or like a Darren
Johnson.
Sproles. Yeah, but our new topic, our next topic, NFL awards, the MVP, the Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and comeback player. Who do you have right now? Is regular season is done at this point? People are casting their votes of who the MVP should be. Rocco, who is your guy?
Um, let's see. Lamar Jackson.
Oh
Always
yes, we
Lamar
did.
Jackson.
Hold on. Yes, we did do it. Yes, we did. Yeah, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is our MVP, right? Yeah, and
Not Joe
then defensive
Burrow.
rookie.
Not Joe Burrow because they didn't make the
Yeah,
playoffs. You can't be MVP if
I
you didn't
see.
make.
You know, okay, I will say this. I will say that I think Joe Burrow still. I think he still deserves it. Fuck it. It wasn't his fault that they didn't make it. If the Broncos didn't win that game, and I actually did want the Broncos because I wanted Bo Nix to get into the
God,
playoffs.
God damn it! It's his fault because he lost to the damn Patriots in Week 1. He wins that game. They're in the playoffs. You can't lose to the
Yeah,
Patriots. Even our guy Max knows this. You cannot lose to the Patriots and Jacoby Brissett in Week 1. You wasn't ready. You didn't score enough points.
fantasy awards, Rocco. Fantasy awards, man. We have guys like, and this is what I meant when I said MVP of fantasy, and maybe not for the NFL. Who is your fantasy MVP?
Of all positions, I think I'm gonna have to go.
And before you give me your answer, Rocco, when I think of a fantasy MVP, this is the guy. And if you're looking back at your championship teams, this was the player that you seen got you to those holy grounds.
Uh, well, I'll say this. It's very position dependent. Like, if you ask me who is the MVP of running backs, who is the MVP of wide receivers,
Mm.
you need multiple MVPs at different positions to really win it all. But I guess the MVP overall to me had to be Lamar Jackson. He's the NFL MVP and the fantasy MVP. When you put up 4,000 yards passing to go along with 900 yards rushing, um, that's just hard to beat on a weekly basis. Um, I'm just kind of looking at it right now. 41 touchdowns in the air, nearly 4,200 yards. So we're talking about 5,000 yards of offense. Um, it's just, it's just really incredible.
No,
Um,
he had one of the. I didn't think he could have a better MVP season than the last two that he had, and he was like, "Oh, bet, let me show you what I can really do." While almost running for 1,000 yards, and I think if he was more selfish, he probably could have ran for 1,000 yards this season if he really wanted to, and took certain games into his own hands. But I do love Lamar Jackson. And we talked about him so much at this point of the NFL season, to where you know there are certain games, and it brings you see, and this is where you see Lamar Jackson's value the most, right? In leagues where passing touchdown is 4 points,
mhm.
that's where you see Lamar Jackson's value the most. When I was looking at Baker Mayfield's. This was maybe week 17 when Mayfield went stupid, had like 5 touchdowns. In my one league, that's 4 4 point passing touchdown. He
Mhm.
only had
Mhm.
like 36 points on 5 touchdowns, 300 plus yards. Only had like 36 points in my league where it's 6 points per touchdown, passing touchdown. He had 40 plus points. I think he had like 44, 45. You see what I'm saying? So when you look at Lamar, he gets to those. He's one of those quarterbacks that gets to that 40 point mark consistent. I won't say consistently, but more of the time because of his rushing ability, right? Unless it's a 6 point passing touchdown in that league, Baker Mayfield isn't touching 40 points most of the time.
Mhm.
Even when he throws 5 touchdowns. So I love me some Lamar Jackson, but
They,
my
they,
MVP for fantasy would be Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield. He is my when I look at back at the championship my championship teams, Baker Mayfield was the catalyst on all my teams, all my guys, on my my QB1. It was the glue where I was telling people last season, go get Baker Mayfield. I was telling people he is my guy. If I'm in a startup, you don't understand when people were going CJ Stroud 1-on-1. When people were going early, getting these guys out. Mayfield was always one of those guys I felt comfortable getting in that fifth, that sixth, that round of
Mhm.
startups and felt a okay. And I think if Chris Godwin never got hurt, if Mike Evans never got hurt, Baker Mayfield finishes QB1 this season. And I 100% am belief in that. He was QB1 throughout mid season. There was that point of time where he was just ripping it, Rocco. And
Mhm.
it brings a lot of joy. Sometimes I forget that he was with the Carolina Panthers. Sometimes I forget that he was with the Rams. He had to go through them trenches, man.
Mhm.
And to see him being appreciated as much as he is now, that's my 2024 fantasy MVP for my teams.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about Baker Mayfield, if you were acquiring him last year, um, he was literally one of the last quarterbacks taken in drafts, right around the Derek Carr range. I picked him up super cheap um, earlier this year for a pick that actually turned into Bo Nix. So the other guy, he made out pretty good in this trade, but basically I traded him the pick that became Bo Nix for Baker Mayfield and Ramondre, who started fumbling and kind of
Mm-hmm.
lost his job at a certain point, but still had enough value to trade. So um, yeah, I see where you're going with this. The fact that he wasn't one of the first QBs off the board, but still finished very highly and brought people home championships. During the playoffs. So I can definitely dig where you're going with that.
Who is your LVP, aka least valuable player of your 2024 fantasy season?
Oh man, that's an easy answer for me. Some people would say CMC, but it's hard for me
Brother,
to
I'm definitely
take a
saying
guy out.
CMC.
It's hard for me to take out a guy because of injury. The guy was injured, from the start of the season, even though he fucked a
Fuck
lot of
him.
people in week one with the late
And week
start. But
two.
that's an
And week three.
organization. That's an
And week four.
organizational thing. But I'm gonna go with a guy who was mostly healthy this year. He was a top five pick in most fantasy drafts.
Oh, I know who you going with
Um,
this with.
Top five pick in most fantasy drafts.
Here he
He
comes.
was he was basically healthy for a good portion of the year,
Y'all get
and
ready for this.
still
Brace
underperformed.
yourself.
Started the season in a timeshare, considering this guy won championships for a lot of people, including some of my buddies in my home league. Uh, but Brees Hall was probably the biggest disappointment for me. You know, I
Oh,
drafted
I thought
him
you was
in the
about to.
early second,
That's
and
not who I thought you was about to say.
you thought I was gonna say
I
CD?
thought you were gonna say CJ Stroud. I thought you were about to shit on CJ Stroud some more. I thought.
Oh man, if we were talking quarterbacks, yeah, but um, I wanted to move off a quarterback since we're kind of going in generalities. Um,
Mm.
Brees Hall did not finish with 1,000 yards on the ground in 16 games. Only 5 touchdowns. Um, just a total disappointment. He finished only slightly above, uh, fourth round dynasty pick Tyrone Tracy. For a guy that's was expected to lead people to championships, and he just wasn't that.
No, I can agree with you on that one. And if I'm thinking about the least valuable player, I would have to think about a player that really just let me down this year when it came to expectations. And if I had to pick, I had the player right literally when you was talking in my head. It was damn, can't remember who the hell it was. Got it. George Pickens. George Pickens, least valuable player. What? And he was one of those guys I was telling you all season I thought was going to take that next step. I
Dogs.
traded for Go Dogs. You know how I feel about my boys. I traded for George Pickens. I had to take that back actually. George Pickens, I love you. I'm not even going to put you do you like this. Motherfucking Chris Olave, bring your ass here, boy. I'm don't bring your ass here. No, ain't no way. Ain't no way I'm giving George Pickens that damn. Because when you have let me down, George Pickens traded for your ass. Because I thought you was going to take that next step. I was like, all right, year two, you want to improve? No, and I can't be too mad at you because motherfucking car keeps throwing these hospital balls to you, and you keep trying to catch them, getting your ass laid out each time. But god damn it, Chris Olave, god damn it, did you let me down this year? I can't even sugarcoat it of how disappointed I am with your performances, and I don't even feel confident that you are a wide receiver one going forward, even with a adequate or even average quarterback. Now, you could prove me wrong. Ohio State wide receivers are they might as well could be. I think at this point they're right behind LSU if you want to think about wide receiver U. But no, Chris Olave, least valuable player. I really want to keep cussing because you pissed me off. Rocco knows how I feel about motherfucking Chris Olave.
Man, he should be mad at Derek Carr for putting him in the hospital.
No, and then I saw a report the other day that Olave wanted to be, how would you say, uh, he, he wanted to like take his time with it. He didn't want to rush back. He wanted to take a safe approach, which I'm not mad at. We'll see him back in 2025, and hopefully, you know, this is a thing of the past. You can't predict concussions, right? There's something you can't really help at times. You just need your quarterback not to try to get you killed.
Yeah, he's on that Tua trajectory right now. Um,
All right,
I'm
so I
actually
gotta
more excited about Rashid Shaheed next year. Hopefully, he can come back
same,
100% healthy. I like the track that
same.
he's on. That guy can play.
This next one is a little different from least valuable player. This category is literally a bomb. Like your worst pick killed it. Like I don't know why. Like next season, they might not touch another team of yours and I'm going to call this category, as we said, who was your biggest bust of 2024?
My biggest bust of 2024, and y'all heard me advocating for this guy all off season. I got so many shares, and he shot right on my dynasty teams. Um, Played like shit um, for the whole year until he had his knee blown out. Brandon Ayuk, I'm looking at you, man.
Oh,
It
that's
was
your
supposed to be
boy.
a special year. You, I advocated for you until you got paid. You got the money, and then you did shit, and then you blew your knee out. You didn't even give yourself a chance to come back from your horrible season. Now you got Jawan Jennings looking better than you. And now you got who's that guy that got shot before the season?
Oh yeah, Pearsall, Ricky Pearsall,
You got Ricky Pearsall
Ricky P.
outshining you. Um, and it wasn't a knee injury that happened in week one, so hopefully my guy don't end up on pup. I would say that there's really no getting rid of him, so all I could do is hope for him to play better. Um, next year, now that he's got a little bit of the attention taken off of him for the for the contract, and hopefully he, you know, takes it in stride that the things he didn't do this past off season, for the reasons why he had such a terrible season.
Mm.
But yeah, he's probably off the top of the dome, he's the biggest bust that I've had this in 2024.
And I hate that I have to give this guy this title because when I did select him, and my thought process of going to get him on my teams was if I pair him with CD, I'm going to the motherfucking championship. That was my thought process. If I pair this wonderful, dominating man with CD, I'm walking away with some chips. Rocco, ask me if that actually happened.
It didn't happen.
No, it didn't fucking happen. Guess who needs to come to the front? Tyreek Hill, bring your ass here, boy. I need you front and center. I need you front and center. Okay, and I understand. Let me hear. Let me hear me out. Hear me out. You lost your QB1 for majority of the season, for a good portion of the season, because he just couldn't help himself of sliding. Concussions. You can't help it, right? You don't even cross over 1,000 yards, my G. Where I selected you, you had to select Tyree Hill on that back stretch of that corner coming off of that first round. Tyree Hill was going in that early second, mid second of or late second of startup drafts, right? Blown. If you look at other guys that I could have got in that position that produced more than him, Tyreek Hill went from wide receiver 1 in 2023 to, I believe, wide receiver 18 in 2024. If you think about it, and I couldn't be more happier. And, the reports are hit or miss. It looks like the other day, him and Mike McDaniel had a talk for about an hour to get their piece across from each other. I hope he blows that whole shit up. I hope free my boy Tyree. He needs to get up out of Miami.
You gotta watch that stuff, man. They talking about he didn't want to go back in the game. That stuff will get you blackballed. So hopefully, and then he put picture of his buddy Antonio Brown
Yeah, yeah, that's
running
not
off
somebody
the
you want. Yeah,
running off the field for the last time.
mm,
Ran his career right off the field after he took his shirt off.
mm.
So, there are some troubling things coming out of the Tyreek camp, and what I always say, man, the grass ain't always greener. He enjoyed some really good years the problem with Miami is Tua. If Tua's healthy, then they Gucci. But Tua wasn't healthy, um, and I think they were playing kind of scared as far as they weren't leaving. They weren't letting Tua, drop back and letting the deep passes progress
Hmm.
downfield where Tyreek Hill eats. But I mean, Tyreek Hill needs to look at himself a little bit because he had a lot of drop passes this year. So he can't. I don't like when guys, you know, point the finger. Especially when his play wasn't that great. So um, I'm interested to see where he goes, but I'm a little more nervous than you are at this point.
I keep hearing. I mean, yeah, he also had the injuries, so he was banged up all up throughout 2024. I keep hearing those Commanders' name come up tied to Tyree Hill. I don't want to see that. Y'all see my damn logo. Y'all see my team. I don't want to see Tyree Hill go to no goddamn Commanders. I
Yeah,
don't blow up my day.
yeah. Take some
But it would be
coverage
really nice though.
off of Terry McLaurin, so that Terry McLaurin can keep on shining.
I think that would put Jaden Daniels in 2025. I think I would put him in the category for QB1. If they were to get Tyree Hill, that would increase my odds of him finishing as QB1 and fantasy in 2025. But
It's
our
definitely in
last
his range
topic,
of
Rocco,
outcomes.
I just thought about this topic, and before we go, because we were discussing it, and I think it's a little quick conversation, but I think it's one that needs to be had, and I'll pop it up on the screen. Is Mike Evans a Hall of Famer? Mike Evans has this past weekend secured his 11th straight season of 1,000 receiving yards. He is tied second all time. Only Jerry Rice
Um,
has more 1,000 yard seasons than Mike Evans.
yeah, I mean,
Or is
to
he
me, it's
tied?
in.
Or did he tie Jerry Rice?
He
That's
tied
fine.
Jerry Rice. He tied
Mm.
Jerry Rice. I remember watching that game.
And then what I love, no, he tied Randy Moss. No,
He tied Jerry Rice.
this they're saying Jerry Rice has 14. Oh, sorry, most ever. I take that back. Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. And hold on, let's bring that back. The fact that Jerry Rice has 14 goddamn 1,000 receiving yards. Anyways, um, but yeah, is Mike Evans a Hall of Famer to you?
Um, uh, to me, this is an easy answer. Yes, yes, he is. I don't really get the argument that he's not 11 straight 1,000 yard season, and that's to start his career, right? He had 1,000 yards as a rookie.
Yep.
As a
Every
fucking
every every season.
as a freaking rookie, the consistency. I know people say, you know, he wasn't ever like top two at his position, but a lot of those damn years he was top five, top six at his position, and the consistency. He does it every single year, whether he's banged up or not. At the end of the year, he's gonna end up, um, with 1,000 yards. Um, he's a big time touchdown scorer. He was a
Yeah, I was
big
going to
part
say
of a
that's the
Super
yeah.
Bowl winning
Thank
team,
you,
so he
thank
has the
you.
hardware to go with his numbers. And ever since Tom Brady's been there, they've pretty consistently been in the playoffs. So um, I don't really get the case that he's not. I mean, he's one of the best physical specimens at the positions ever. Just a jump ball specialist who's a very underrated route runner. That wasn't a big part of his game coming in, but he came into the league as one of the best high point specialists. But he's tough. And he's always out there.
Hmm.
Game winning plays uh, that he's made over his career. Um, yeah, I just don't see. I don't see the case that he's not. I hear people making a case, but um, to me, he's better than some guys that are already in the Hall of Fame. Right now, I think he's a Hall of
Mhm.
Famer. If he retired today, I think he's a Hall of Famer.
I love me some Mike Evans. So underappreciated. No, he's when in an era of receivers that we can consider divas sometimes. Mike Evans never complained. He always was a team first guy. And when people look at those 1,000 yards, they're like, "Oh, it's just 1,000." That's not really much effort to get to that. He's also in the top 10 all time when it comes to touchdowns. You
Hmm.
feel me? Mike Evans is a dog. And he did it. He didn't always have Baker Mayfield. He didn't always have Tom Brady throwing the ball. There was years he had, and I know, I don't want to shit on him either, but he had Mr. Eat a W, Jameis Winston, throwing him the goddamn ball. You feel me? Throwing 30 interceptions a season. So I love me some Mike Evans. If Mike Evans were to go on any other team, right? Any other team that had a competent quarterback, he would have even more yards than he typically
Could
did
produce
per year.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
yeah, he
is an
could
alpha.
produce
He's
anywhere.
one of those guys. Love me some Mike Evans.
Yeah, and he's one of the few guys that his archetype, the big-bodied receiver that's still, putting up big numbers. I know these days it's about the smaller, more jet quick type of guys, but at 6'5" and what 220, 230, he's one of the few guys you see still doing it at a high level. Other
Yep.
big-bodied receivers, didn't have the longevity. I mean, look at Calvin Johnson, who was a little bit bigger, but a similar body type, whose career ended early. So, the longevity which Evans has played with and keeps producing is, outstanding. And there's I don't the only argument I get that he's not a Hall of Famer is if you seen those battles between him and Marshawn Lattimore when Lattimore was with the Saints, for a few years,
Hmm.
where Lattimore
Yeah.
owned that ass and
Hold up.
and
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
frustrated
whoa,
this
whoa, whoa, whoa.
own that ass. Look at the
Nah,
per
that's
game. He
biased.
had
That
one
is
big game,
biased.
and the rest of them was he did shit against Marshawn Lattimore. He had one big game in about 6 to 8 games. The rest of the games he got shut the fuck down. It would frustrate him so bad you would you would routinely
Literally have
expect
a
the fight.
UFC match.
Oh, there would be a fight to break out, man. That's the video we need to be watching. But I think there may be some fans down here locally who may not think he's a Hall of Famer. But if you're objective, there's really no case.
No case. Get that man into the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. We're not arguing with you about it. He's a Hall of Famer. But that is our episode for the day, for the night. Thank you all for tuning. It's going to be no, as we said in the this particular off season, we're transitioning out. We typically do live videos during the season, but we are moving into pre-recorded. This would be published tomorrow around, I would say, midday. So catch us again Sunday. We will be going back with some more vibes, and we will be going over who we think per position were the best, vet and rookie. You'll have to see what we think. Till next
Love it.
time, Rocco, my boy. I'll
For
catch
sure,
you
for
on our
sure.
next episode.
I love it, man. I love my city. Nola strong, man. We will, we will come back.
And be better than ever. Until next time, this is Fourth and Fantasy.